Hello guys, Mathemos right here, and today we're going to do something a little different as I'm going to take you down a trip down memory lane with a program called RM Color Magic. Now anyone in the British education system, particularly in infant and junior schools during the 90s and early 2000s, should need no introduction to RM Color Magic. This piece of software was developed by RM Education, or originally known as Research Machines, in 1994 to use on their Windows Box line of computers. This would come in a package along with other titles such as Number Magic, Hot Dog Jr. and RM Classmate Desktop. I'm telling you guys that this screen setup in itself should invoke some nostalgia with the uniqueness of this configuration, and actually Classmate 4 is also on my hunt, and one I've been endeavouring on and off for just as long as Color Magic. But I'm digressing. You could also buy this along with the Windows Box's other titles independently, with Color Magic 2 and 3 both being £49 excluding VAT and postage during the early 2000s for version 2, and 3 during its release in July 2004, or about £84.35 and £69.53 respectively when you account for inflation. I don't have any info on the original 1.x release, but I'm guessing it was made for Windows 3.0 and 3.1 and such only being 16-bit compatible, with 2 still being 16-bit compatible, but also could enjoy a much more spacious 32 bits of pure power in Windows 95. When 3 rolled around, RM dropped support for Windows 3.x, but still could be enjoyed on 10-year-old machines. And you got some cool new features that version 2 lacked, such as new painting and special effects tools, along with 250 new images to play around with if you also owned RM Topic Bank. The last version RM released was version 3.1 in 2007, which the company continued to sell for 5 years before pulling the title from the virtual shelves and completely abandoned the Windows Box software lineup. RM did a home edition of Color Magic, which for a while you could get on Amazon, long before I discovered the listing myself, but the page has since been pulled from Amazon's site. And with that, I genuinely thought I would never be able to use Color Magic ever again, as I've been searching for the program for a better part of a decade at this point with no avail. But luckily, in the gap between my last 2 search hunts, the University of Aberdeen traced down a copy and made it publicly available on the archive.org website. And with that I created a CD. So without any further ado, let's get this thing installed. So when you first put the CD into the computer, the setup automatically loads, and it's very straightforward to install Color Magic. Just click through the buttons and let it do its thing. Interestingly, the setup never asks you for a license key, which makes one wonder how RM knew if you're installing to one computer or 100. It installs very quickly, and at the end it will ask you to restart. So it will do that, and by the time you log in, the program will be fully installed. For whatever reason, RM decided not to give the option to create a shortcut, but you can still find it in the start menu. Upon loading up Color Magic, you are greeted by this screen. The screen in itself holds so many memories from my childhood. Let's do the Panasonic SM50 CRT, RM Classmate 4 running on a Pentium 2 base, Windows 98, RM Windows Box PC in a C-Series case to complete it. The color levels on the screen represents a tier corresponding to a child's age group. Yellow being aimed for reception, with access only to the primary colours and a few other tools available in the program, and red being you having full access to the 256 colours and every tool and option is exposed to the end user, with green and blue being in between the 2 tiers. While playing around with Color Magic ahead of making this video, I discovered some basic image manipulation tools that I never knew or otherwise completely forgotten Color Magic having. Things like brightness and contrast controls, and the ability to resize your canvas. By default, Color Magic's canvas is based on the size of the window, so if your monitor is 1024 by 768, then the canvas will be slightly smaller than that. So it's nice that you can manually resize that to be bigger or smaller depending on your desires. However, it's only in the red where you get the flexibility to change the canvas in the way you would expect in GIMP or Photoshop. The lower tiers will either have you change to a preset paper size, or just nothing at all. Saving is also different between the first 3 tiers and red. In blue you get a screen when you load or save that has also stuck with me over the years, and you cannot create new folders when saving. But in red, RM trusts you enough to give you the full fat Windows Explorer save dialog with all the features that hold. Also as a side note, one of the reasons Color Magic stuck in my head for so long was the sound effects. From brushstrokes to filling and the stamp tool, even undoing something, it's just silly and very enjoyable. It probably would get annoying for some people, and by default RM has this option disabled, but I quickly turned them back on upon installing Color Magic to my computer. I tell you, whenever time allowed, I spent quite a bit of time just playing around in this program, just making nothing at all. Literally just mindless doodling. or I end up recreate something I did back in the day on Dazzle, a very similar program designed for RISC-OS way back when. Like this pizza thing I recreated that I made for my 8th birthday party. Honestly, outside of just messing around with the rainbow brush tool, I don't think I made anything specific in Color Magic when it wasn't a lesson back in the day. That stuff I did on my long lost RISC PC. But I still just love messing around with Color Magic, and this is how I learned about some of the features that I never knew the program had to begin with. Also, can I say the outline tool is a great solution to bypass the lack of layers if you want to create an outline later on, or with the pizza drawing, do a very basic saddle. Now if you want to visit this for yourself, you don't have to use an older version of Windows to do so. Without any compatibility settings, I got Color Magic to install and run on the latest build of Windows 11, 21H2 at the time of writing the script. Admittedly it's not perfect, the installer hanged when trying to install the stamp stuff and had to force quit it, so I'm missing the assets for the stamp tool to work. And it's also a bit funny about drawing the cursor or just straight up the image at times. But the fact it works at all without the program being run in compatibility mode is a sight to behold. And Linux users shouldn't feel left out either. I tested Color Magic in both Bottles and Lutris, two popular wrappers of wine, and worked more or less flawlessly. Bottles was the easiest to set up with Color Magic once I figured out Flatseal existed and bypassed the sandboxing nature of Flatpak. Lutris was a close second in terms of how simple it was to install Color Magic, but both wrappers suffer from a weird bug that causes the audio to pop. It appears 1 in 5 without any wrappers doesn't suffer from this problem, but that isn't a viable option if you're using a Steam Deck, as I've read it will delete mine every time it updates. My unit is still a few months away, so I cannot validate this myself. And there we go guys, that is a look at one of my fondest computer memories. If you want to relive this memory for yourself, or otherwise try Color Magic, then I will leave a link down below for the archive.org page. As long as nobody does anything stupid, as trying to deploy this into a school work environment, and I see very little reason why RM themselves will intervene and take down this long lost piece of abandonware. Thank you so very much for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.